Daniel Penny is breaking his silence in an exclusive interview with Judge Jeanine Pirro. On Monday, a jury found the Marine veteran not guilty in the subway death of Jordan Neely, a homeless, mentally ill drug user who was violently threatening people. And his words were, "Someone is going to die today." It's Daniel Penny's first and only interview televised since being acquitted. He's expressing gratitude after more than a year of being vilified by so many people. And across the country, the story migrated from New York. It was huge news.
So a jury of your peers, Danny, felt unanimously, beyond a reasonable doubt, that you committed no wrongdoing. What would you say to them?
I'd like to give them a hug. I'd like to thank them. Yeah, definitely. I mean, it takes a lot of courage, especially in this climate in New York City, to stick up for me. So I'm very thankful that they were able to do something like that, and it was very courageous of them.
In focus now, Judge Jeanine Pirro, co-host of The Five. We all know you as a tough lawyer. You can close like no one else. You teared up as you watched that. We both did. What a young man.
Danny Penny is, Harris, one of the most incredibly young men I have ever met. And his strength, his determination, his stoicism, while there was complete chaos around him, people cursing at him, calling him names, prosecutors trying to bring him down, violating their own rules, medical examiners contradicting their own testimony in order to get him convicted. Nothing changed that face. And I was in that courtroom for 5 weeks. Nothing changed the face. He was stoic. He was tall. And then when I did the interview, I found a man that was so incredibly powerful, kind, courageous. You know, he was trained as a Marine. He is sensitive, but he's also had the courage of a lion. He said he could have turned away, but he said, when I saw those women and those school children hugging each other on that underground subway car, I couldn't look away. And I said to him, were you afraid yourself of him? He said, yes. Of what? Being killed. That was deadly physical force. And he legally had the right to use deadly physical force, although if you watch the whole interview, and you've got to watch it on Fox Nation, he said, I didn't use deadly physical force, and he didn't, because he died of something else. And the medical examiner in New York City should be embarrassed, because they made a decision without the toxicology, without the histology, the anthropology, without the hyoid bone analysis, the larynx. Terrible.
What's fascinating about what you're saying, and I want to show more of the interview just momentarily, but something about that immediate situation also communicated to New York's finest NYPD, because they didn't hold him. He was not arrested for 10 days. They felt that there was not enough evidence to keep him. So, I mean, you didn't have all of that either, but they are experts. There are first eyes, New York Police Department, NYPD. There are first eyes and first ears on the ground, and they did their job and told the world what the truth was. And then Alvin Bragg, soft on crime.
Yeah, well, and then
DA gets involved.
Al Sharpton comes in. All the protests start. They go right down to the F train, and then the political Alvin Bragg does his political dance.
Yep. All right, let's watch more now from Judge Jeanine's exclusive interview with Daniel Penny.
When he said he was willing to kill people, did you believe him?
Yeah, totally. It was unlike, because there's outbursts on the train all the time. Unfortunately, in New York City, there's always people coming on and saying, kind of talking crazy, and this was unlike anything that I've ever experienced, and it was very serious. I completely believed what he was saying.
He's emotional there too. What was your impression of him as someone who now is known by everyone, a hero?
He not only is a hero, he's more than that. He is, to me, an icon who, at this point in America, represents true masculinity. You know, in the last election, we tried to talk about what is masculine, what isn't masculine. That guy is. He wants no attention. He's very uncomfortable in any kind of public setting. He doesn't like the limelight, doesn't like politics, doesn't want to criticize people. But he was willing to carry the burden, as he said, of 1 million court appearances because he couldn't live with himself if he didn't interfere because of all of those victims. And they were white, and they were black, and they were Hispanic.
That's right.
And the people helping him hold Jordan Neely were black and Hispanic. People on the jury were black, Hispanic, Asian. So, you know, they weaponized his military experience against him. They tried to make this a racial case. It was not.
They did.
And you know what? Kudos to this jury. And when he said he wanted to hug him, yeah, we all teared up. The cameramen teared up. He teared up. This man, by the way, he's a classically trained musician. He studied classical music since 3rd grade. He's very zen. He's not macho, man. And I think every law enforcement person, every military person in this country should support this man and respect what he did.
100%. And it's great to have you here. The perfect person for him to sit down with.
I was very lucky. Great lawyers, Tom Caniff and Steve Razor. They did a phenomenal job. Phenomenal. This was not an easy case.
No doubt. Thank you. I'm so glad you were in focus to be here to talk about it. Okay, now I've seen bits and pieces of it, so I've cheated a little bit, but I'm going to watch the whole thing now on Fox Nation. So should you. Judge Jeanine's full interview with Daniel Penny. And if you don't already have it, and you know I tell you this almost daily, you need the Fox Nation app. Log on to foxnation.com and go. Check it out.
Hey everyone, I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kaylee McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.